Richard Tromans here again, Artificial Lawyer TV. Today we're doing a special ALTV product walkthrough video with Harvey. We're looking at shared spaces, a new feature that they've developed, which has been getting a lot of attention. To tell us more about it is Cole. Hey, Cole, good to have you on the show.
Hey, Richard. Thanks for having me. Great to be here.
Yeah, it's a pleasure. It's a pleasure. So without further ado, because I know that everybody actually wants to see how shared spaces works, I will disappear. Please take it away. I will come back at the end.
Thanks, Richard. So what you're looking at here is shared spaces in Harvey. I think the best way to think about this is a secure, purpose-built workspace where firms and clients, or multiple firms and a client, or even an in-house team with various cross-functional stakeholders can all actually work together within Harvey. And I think the work together part is super important because that's what makes this different. It's not just a one-way place where firms can publish something for the client to consume or just package up some workflows. It's actually both sides contributing together, reviewing together, querying and building work product together in the same environment, on the same data, with all the same context. So it's back and forth collaboration together. And critically, this all lives within Harvey. There's no separate logins or separate platforms to onboard to. So you can see that's all here in our traditional Harvey platform. And because we have so many law firms and clients already using Harvey, we already have the biggest network of in-house and law firm teams ready to collaborate from day one. So we'll dive into a space here. I've set up an example Acme Co. Harvey space for a project called Titan. And as we jump into this space, you can see kind of three core pieces: the data, artifacts, and tools. So starting with data here, these are the vaults, documents, knowledge bases that gets everyone kind of the same shared context. Then artifacts here are the drafts, review tables, assistant threads, that sort of work product that you're working on together. And then finally, tools. These are the workflows that are prepackaged, the playbooks where firms and clients can package expertise to share back and forth. And then we have the assistant here that sits on top of all of it and allows you to query and get intelligence from all this information that's inside a space. So I'll dive now into the data section here. This is data. These are where the context is uploaded by the firm or client to share and collaborate on together. So here I've uploaded a set of commercial contracts. We can see queries from my organization, but they're private for the other collaborating organization. And I think the really powerful thing here is whether it's due diligence materials, precedent transactions, a library of contract portfolio. It's not just a folder of PDFs that's sitting behind a login for just file storage. This is actually a shared intelligence layer. So once the documents are in the vault, anyone with the right access can query across them using Harvey's AI. So you're not just sort of statically emailing documents back and forth, you're providing a way to interrogate together and work on top of these documents. So asking natural language questions like, what are the key indemnification provisions across these documents? Or in a litigation scenario, you might be using deposition transcripts to prepare for a litigation and come up with expert witness cross-examination questions. And sort of the firms and clients that are on it today are finding a lot of value in just being able to interrogate these documents and get intelligence from these together. Every output is reviewable, searchable, and you can add them back to the space for the other side to review if you want to. So now let's look at artifacts. Artifacts here are that shared work product that I was talking about. A couple different examples. In this diligence context, here I've created a due diligence report table. This might be something that the firm's created and marks a couple of cells for review for the client to come and look at. And instead of sort of emailing that static Excel table back and forth, you have this dynamic live view where you can edit, mark up things for the other side to look at, and use our Ask Harvey feature to sort of ask questions against all of this. You're not just delivering an item more easily, but you're also actually differentiating service delivery, where it's a new way to dynamically get value from something that the firm is creating for their client. And I also want to highlight that whether it's a vault or a due diligence table or something else, we have clear controls and granular permissions for each of these things. So it's very easy to control who sees what, who can do what. And we found as we've sort of started working with firms and clients together on this, that type of granularity is absolutely essential for getting this to people's hands. So if I jump back to one of those vaults here, you can see that when I share a vault into a space, I have both the ability to pick the specific spaces that it's going to and configure the permissions here, view or edit, but also provide content protection. So maybe I actually don't want anyone to download these files or duplicate or see the underlying prompts, just to maybe be able to view or ask questions against them. So this level of sort of deep granularity and fine-grained permissions has been absolutely essential for creating something that's enterprise grade that admins can feel comfortable and ready to provide for their clients or distribute across their company. In addition to sort of review tables or vaults, there's also a key need for collaborating on draft and work product together. So here the firm's created an example of an IP assignment agreement, and they've, instead of sort of emailing this static document back and forth and doing track changes and redlining, we can actually do that all within Harvey today. So I create this document, I've drafted it using the context of the space, and then deliver it to the client where they can dynamically, using track changes and versions, be able to collaborate, edit this together. Using Harvey's assistant to help them with drafting, using the context of the vaults to look maybe at other precedent information, and all of that shared context and access happening here in the space. So this dynamic, collaborative back and forth that's happening. And again, something we've heard from firms is that this is just a new way to deliver value for your customers, and a way to be different that they're really interested in. So that's what these artifacts look like. The last thing I want to share here is tools. This is where a firm's institutional knowledge really comes to life. So a firm could publish playbooks or custom workflows into the space. For example, maybe there's a contract review workflow that embodies that firm's approach and expertise. And now that client can run that playbook against their own documents, and they're getting the benefit sort of at scale. So here I've got a workflow that I can jump into and see sort of what that workflow looks like and collaborate together on the workflow. Or I could share that with view only or run only permissions, so the client could run the workflow without seeing the underlying prompts. And that's something that we've seen firms be really excited about, because early on as we were discussing this with them, this idea of some cases where you want to collaborate together on a workflow or a playbook, sort of have the client in there also helping provide feedback on the actual details is important. But other times you want to give access to that expertise without giving away your IP. So you're able to provide run access to these workflows so a client can get the value of maybe your change of control analysis process without actually exposing the underlying prompts, which really is the secret sauce in the IP of the firm. And this isn't just a static catalog of self-service tools. These outputs can be fed back into the space. And that creates an ongoing conversation about the work, not just a one-off transaction. And it's fundamentally a new way for these firms to deliver value and stay engaged with their clients and deepen that relationship over time. I also want to show that inviting collaborators is really simple, but also has a lot of control and safety. So early on, as we discussed this with our firms and clients, found that it's important to be able to collaborate openly, but we need a level of oversight to make this actually enterprise grade to have deployed at scale. So adding people to a space is pretty simple. You can use the invite button up here and type in an email address. So I might say cole@example.com, and Harvey is going to mark that as an external email address. So it can tell who's internal to your organization, your firm, and who's external. So it's clear if you're maybe just trying to invite an internal collaborator to start preparing a space versus having something that's customer ready that you can share externally. Then when I go to invite here, what's actually going to happen is it's going to send a request for approval to my admin, as well as the admin on the collaborating counterparty's Harvey workspace. So these actions require sort of this two-sided admin handshake and approval to ensure that my organization is comfortable with me adding this individual, and also the external collaborating party is also comfortable with that connection. This happens for resource sharing, vault sharing, and all these other types of sharing as well, to make sure that there's really clear oversight. And each one of these actions is logged in an audit log. Now, one of the other things we've heard a lot about is, how do I help collaborate with folks that maybe are not yet Harvey customers? And we've ensured that's possible using our guest account feature. So you can invite someone via email, and they'll get a limited permission to access view the space, where they can view and interact with what's been shared with them, even if they don't have a full Harvey license. And that's been designed to make it really easy to bring in collaborators across different teams. Maybe you have cross-functional collaborators on your in-house team across different orgs, sales, finance, compliance, or maybe it's clients or firms you work with that aren't yet Harvey customers. I want to make sure that's an easy process for you to still be able to collaborate together in a shared space. And now, sort of as I was sharing about the importance of oversight, that sharing, what that looks like is, if I go back to the space here, I can see this request tab where I can see the requests that are pending for the space. So here, Matt wants to invite another user to the space, and it's marked as pending review because I've approved it on my side, and we're waiting for that approval on the other side. So admins have sort of clear visibility into what's happening, and end users can also see where the requests live in the process. And we found that that's just absolutely critical because if you want to be able to actually collaborate in a space rather than just sort of sharing files back and forth, but having privileged materials, confidential deal information, other sensitive legal work, that level of oversight, auditability, and control is just absolutely critical. And all this space sits on top of Harvey's existing enterprise security infrastructure. So the same infrastructure that's already vetted by leading global law firms and corporations, and everything that happens in that space is logged in the audit trail. Admins have that full visibility. And depending on how you configure the space, you could also have visibility into the queries and actions taken in the space. We've also recently announced a partnership with Intap and are building ethical wall enforcement so you can collaborate across organizational boundaries without compromising any kind of conflict controls. So tagging things with client matters, automatically respecting the ethical walls and provisioning of your existing systems is also something that's deeply important. Again, that principle of sort of collaborating openly, both governance built in from the start, is what makes it suitable for that kind of work that matters. Not just low stakes file sharing, but really sensitive live collaboration on privileged work. The last thing I'm going to show here is how, even though creating a space just takes a minute, we have deep sort of collaboration, customization, and control of the space itself. So here, if I open up the space again, I can see that I can customize the appearance and feel of the space. Name, logo, images, colors. We found that it's actually really important for firms and clients as they're working here to make sure the space feels like theirs. It's branded. It feels like something you're ready to share with the client. It's professional. And it conveys sort of the message and tone and feel of what you'd like it to. And for an in-house team collaborating with other cross-functional orgs, it's also important for them as well. Sort of provide something that gives the impression you're looking for. So spaces are highly customizable, and that's both sort of the settings level, how things are viewed and permissions, but also the look and feel. So that is Shared Spaces. It's now generally available. We have many in-house and firm teams collaborating in spaces today. It's not just in pilot or preview, it's live. And if folks want to learn more and dive into this, you can follow this link here to get started with Shared Spaces. But that's all we have about Shared Spaces today. Thanks, Richard.
Very interesting. Let me just ask you a couple of very, very simple questions, practical questions. So first of all, if somebody already is a Harvey customer and they want this, how does that happen? It just arrives automatically, or how does that work?
Yeah, it's a great question, Richard. We know that while some teams are really excited to collaborate together and use shared spaces, it's also something that requires security reviews or a little bit of oversight from other teams. So this is on now for everyone as an opt-in. So admins can go on and configure this for their teams, whether they turn on just internal spaces where you can collaborate internally with other folks, maybe across matters or projects, or turn on external shared spaces where you can invite external collaborators. That's all done via an admin in the portal. And they can do that for their entire account or for specific users, maybe who you're ready to provision.
Gotcha. And I know you covered this, but I just want to reiterate the point for anyone who's listening at this point here. If you have a Harvey license, you can invite others to join you.
Yes, that's right. That guest account is a really important part of the process as well, because you may have key collaborators that don't have a full Harvey license, whether those are internal or external. We want to make sure that's possible for you. So those guest accounts are also available for folks to add.
Got you. And if both parties, so let's say a law firm and its clients, both have a license, they're both Harvey customers, they can keep one of these shared spaces going indefinitely, effectively.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, and we've seen folks sort of approach it a couple of different ways. They might have one shared space they're using sort of for the entire relationship, and that will persist across a variety of work, projects, and matters. Other teams want to create multiple shared spaces with their partner, where maybe we have a matter-specific space for a particular litigation matter, or another space for an M&A project that's happening. And that allows us to have sort of different people added, different permissions, respect the ethical walls and privacy that we need for different types of sensitive legal works. These can persist indefinitely, and there's no limit to the number of spaces or the number of users you can invite to a space.
Fantastic. And very last question. Most people often assume this kind of thing coming from the law firm to the customer, the corporate, etc. But I guess it can also go the other way. The corporate can say, hey, law firm, we'd actually like you to use shared spaces. Here's the link. That works as well.
Yeah, that's a really great question. We've actually seen a lot of that happening today, where you have both law firms that are excited to collaborate in new ways with their customers and have differentiated service delivery. So they're sort of pushing it from their side. But also in-house teams that are really excited to deepen their relationship with their panel firms. So you've got very large customers that are encouraging all of their panel firms to jump into a shared space with them, where they can sort of collaborate in a new way and have closer and more transparent relationships. So it works both ways, and we're seeing both of that happen today already.
Fantastic, fantastic. And of course, there's plenty more to dig into. If you'd like to know more, obviously have a read of the text around the video or get in contact with the Harvey team. They'd be delighted to talk to you. But Cole, that's all we have time for. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Richard.